Well, thank you very much, Ken Workington. Yes, indeed, the kid from nowhere, Dan Rawlings, who's living the dream, 32 years old, posted a triple last Saturday night here at the Big M. You told me 3 years ago you had a provisional license and one cheap claimer. How in the world did you go from there to winning 3 at the Meadowlands?
I honestly really don't know. Just one step at a time, and I've never turned down a horse to drive, good, bad gated, bad manners, etc.
Well, it looks like you got kind of a late start in the business. I looked up your records, and you've only been driving like 6 years. And Ken Workington said you were an electrician or a contractor by trade at one time?
I worked for a general contracting company that did ground-up work. We actually built staple stores across America, and that's all I did until I was 25. And when I was 26 that winter, I went and worked in a barn and never left.
And you just fell in love with the horses. And you have a reputation, Dan, as being a pretty good hand with trotters. And you kind of got started with David Wade, who has an excellent reputation. A guy named Rick Beinhauer out at the Meadows that has pretty good trotters, too.
Well, David Wade and Rick Beinhauer are great friends. And David Wade, I worked for him. And I was groom, second trainer. I did whatever he needed me to do. And he eventually gave me an opportunity to drive some horses, and it just excelled from there. And then Rick Beinhauer put me on some sire stake horses last year, and we had a good year.
Every year during the month of June at the Meadowlands, our top drivers always go up to Mohawk for the North America Cup Elims in the final, then to Mohegan Sun Pocono like tonight for the Elims and finals for the big races, and we always need drivers. What made you decide to come out and give it a try on the Saturday nights?
Well, a really good friend of mine, Mike Wilder, was coming out here, and I talked to him, and he said that he was coming back out during the North American Cup eliminations, and I told him that I was interested in calling the judges and seeing if I can get some work. And it worked out. I got 4 drives the first time I was here, and to be honest, I overdrove everything. It's a long stretch. And then I told Mike that I was coming back here again, and I wanted to win a race, and last week we had a good run at it.
One of the strengths of being a good driver, I've always felt one of the keys is to know your horses and know the other horses and know the other drivers you're racing against. You came into the Meadowlands blind. I mean, you might watch it on TV once in a while, but not knowing the track and the horses. But I guess all the other drivers are in the same boat during the month of June Saturdays because they're not familiar with the Big M.
Well, I watched the Big M, and it does look like you can drive aggressive here, and the speed does hold up. This track surface is amazing, and I took a shot with that, and I always feel that the better drivers are probably the better handicappers as well. You can look at a program, decipher a race, and make your decisions as it's going through.
Well, let's look at your big 3 from last Saturday. We'll start with Somewhere in L.A., a very nice 3-year-old for Jimmy Tactor that he just bought from Bob McIntosh. Ended up first over for a long way as we roll it in, but this horse was very, very good.
Yeah, you know, like I had to come out early. There was a horse parked, so I just sat out there, tried to be patient. I drove the horse that LeChance was on the week before. He felt great, and then right before the wire he got a little weak, so I took my chance of just waiting there as long as I could and asking my horse to come on, and he did. And
you saw the belly dancers in the winner's circle. You knew you'd get your picture taken with them, too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that was definitely a benefit.
Now, you also won 2 series finals. Let's start with Star Photo, the trotter and the flower child. He won for fun despite the outside post, and frankly, I thought he was the overlay of the night. I mean, since the Burks got this dude, he's been almost unbeatable.
Well, I looked at the race. I knew the 10-hole was going to be a factor, but I wasn't taking him back. Like I said, the aggressive driving, and Ron told me he had thrown me a text and told me, I said, anything you want me to do with these things tonight? He said, win with them all. And then at that point, he also said that the aggressive driving does work there. So I had a feeling that I was going to be parked and I was going to look for cover, and everything worked out in my mind, and the trip worked out. The cover got me close, and the horse responded.
Did you let Dave Pallone know at your main track, the Meadows, you're winning races for the Burks out here? You better watch out.
Actually, Dave texted me before and after the race. Texted me, way to represent, good job, and you know, he's been supportive as well the whole time.
And you also won the Caramore final with Relentless Dreamer, and this is not an easy horse to drive. If you try to leave with him, he'll try to stand on his head, and he gets the job done at times. You drove him 2 weeks ago. That probably helped you for last week.
I drove him 2 weeks ago. I actually got him to leave the gate okay, but he didn't fire home like he showed on his previous lines. So I wanted to ease him out of the gate a little bit more. I wasn't planning on getting shuffled back to last, but coming off the last turn, I actually thought I had a pretty good shot to get close. I didn't know if I got up at the wire. Both me and LaChance were coming back to the circle because neither one of us knew who got it at the point. But that horse has got a good kick home. If you can get him in the right position, not get him out of play early, then he has a shot.
I got to come out here and work for 2 weeks in 1998 when one of the announcers had laryngitis. I got to call races here. I went home afterward and I told my wife, I don't care if I have to sack groceries the rest of my life. I can always say I got to work at the Meadowlands. Do you feel the same way about winning races here?
It's fun. Like you watch these races. Like even when I was a kid, I'd watch races at the Meadowlands. It's the Meadowlands that the greatest horses of all time, the greatest race in my mind, Hambletonian, Meadowlands Pace, etc. Just to be here, the environment, the people, the crowd, it's definitely a unique experience.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you with us as well. Let's talk about some of your drives tonight. In the third race, you've got Star Photo again, just razor sharp. I don't see why he can't win right back.
Yeah, he's going to have his shot tonight. I'm definitely going to put him in play. He was real good last week. I can't fault him anywhere, so he's going to be going forward from the gate and so forth.
Speaking of going forward, in the sixth race, you've got number 6, Rage and Ryan. Looks like a total speed horse off the gate. Kind of had to use him pretty hard last week, and he kind of tired late.
Actually, I used Ronnie's bike last week, and I couldn't reach the stirrups, and I would have taken him back, to be honest, because we were gunning out of there. 2 horses on the inside of me, obviously, were leaving ridiculously fast, and I would have been smarter off putting him in and then retaking at some point. I'm going to race him aggressive tonight, but if it looks like we're going to be on a speed duel towards the front, I'll surrender to a point.
And you actually brought your own bike this week, so the stirrups are adjusted to fit you and everything else.
No, I used my bike last week. Rage and Ryan's a big horse, and he has an oversized bike that Ron probably obviously had made for horses like him. And the stirrups, yeah, I definitely couldn't reach them. So, but that's no excuse. I drove the horse bad.
All right, moving on to the 7th race, number 1, Somewhere in L.A. Nice to get on some of this Jimmy Takter action, too. Facing older horses, but you got the inside. Looks like he has a lot of talent.
I think the one to beat, actually, is the one I drove for Ron last week, is Hang 10. He raced really good. I was first up forever with him as well, and he fought off the horse on the front, horse pulling 3 wide, and he just got snapped at the wire. But this horse actually had a stale date, if you look back too. And Jimmy told me when we were at Pocono racing that he had just got the horse, and that that he really didn't know too much about him other than he's supposed to be a nice horse. And I got off the bike last week. I said, well, if nothing else, he can take a lot of air. Okay. So he'll have his shot today, and I look for him to win, honestly.
Moving on to the 9th race, Relentless Dreamer. He has post 8. Big rally like we talked about, but the class height could be a bit of an issue.
Class is probably an issue. I had another choice in the race, but this gentleman put me on this horse 2 weeks in a row, not knowing who I am, and in that appreciation, I'm going to drive his horse, and I think I know him at this point. I think I'll be able to get some money in there. Moving
on to the 10th race, you've got number 1, What a Horse. You tripped him out last week and almost won. Similar trip in store tonight?
No, I plan on cutting it, honestly. I know this horse. I drove this horse at the Meadows for Mike Pallone, and he's a lot better on the front end. I had him too stirred up last week. I think I actually might have taken a little of the race out of him. I had a real big hold on him. I was just too aggressive to leave the gate and then not be on the front. Now that he has some respect, I'm sure the tote board will show that today, that he'll have a better shot.
And lastly, in the featured 11th race, you've got number 6, Ultimate Beach Boy for the Bergs. Really nice horse, but this is a stone-cold killer field.
I'm excited about this race, though, a lot. I love this horse. I watched him when Brett drove him, and I'm pretty confident in this race with this horse. I think you're gonna have a pretty good speed duel, and I have it in my mind what's gonna happen. Hopefully, it all works out, and if I'm close, this horse will fire home.
Well, Dan Rawlings, you're like a breath of fresh air. It's been great having you with us here at the Meadowlands the last 3 weeks. Hopefully, we'll see you again next summer in June, maybe even sooner. Try us this winter a little bit.
I hope so. We have a horse for David Wade that will be here, hopefully for the Duana and come Hambo week, and I hope to pray my presence then.
Well, cool deal. You're our FinTech Driver of the Week. You've got a gift certificate from FinTech coming your way. Thanks for coming out and joining us tonight, and best of luck out there on the track.
Thanks for having me.
Dan Rawlings in the Sulky. We'll take a quick time out, and Hollywood Hayden and I will tee up tonight's racing action. Stay tuned.